Okay, just
All right, everyone, welcome. We're the Democrats Abroad Ohio team, and we are with members from all across Ohio. My name is Angela Fobbs. I'm a Cincinnati native, Houday. And we have, as a team member, we have Karen Lee, born in Gallion, young adulthood in Mansfield. She went to OSU and later worked in Columbus before moving to Greece. Nikki Vandervelde, originally from Xenia, now in Germany. Kenton Barnes, originally from Toledo, and he is now the chair of Democrats Abroad, Germany. Christina Søvsgaard, still with roots in Cleveland, and she's the chair of DA Norway. Jeff Simmons, born in Cleveland and grew up in Columbus. He's now in Germany. Carl Borowski, he's also from Ohio, and he's now in Poland. Christine Anderson from Chagrin Falls, from South Euclid, a suburb of Cleveland, and our phone banker leader from Italy. Ooh. We also have Miguel Madrigal from Columbus. He's the Youth Caucus chair now in Costa Rica, and also Rebecca Lemmers from Columbus, and she's our taxation task force chair in DA UK. And obviously, Ohio people are really dynamic because we have a lot of leaders in Democrats Abroad that are from Ohio. So with that, I would like to hand it over to our esteemed vice chair of Democrats Abroad International, also an Akron native, Art Schenkler.
thank you, Angela. Can you hear me okay? Anyway,
Yes.
on behalf of Democrats Abroad, I want to welcome all of you, the participants, and especially our wonderful congressional candidates this year. I think there's a number of, in a series of calls that we've had with Ohio candidates, and it's really been great. As Angela mentioned, I was born and grew up in Akron. My family was involved in local politics, so I followed Ohio politics and Akron politics for a number of years. I often mention that when I was a kid, we had a Democratic governor and 2 Democratic senators, and I think we're going to head back that way this year. Plus, we have a bunch of great congressional candidates. Again, when I was growing up, the congressperson in Akron was a Republican. But now that they've redistricted it, put Akron and Summit County all back together, and we've got a great candidate, Amelia Sykes, I think we're going to take that one back. I'm calling to you from a Tim Hortons somewhere in Ontario. We've been riding around in our Democrats Abroad vote mobile, and I wish I could show you in the back, but the Wi-Fi isn't working out there. But going out, meeting voters, meeting Americans, meeting Canadians who know Americans, and getting them to tell Americans that they really should vote. They have an opportunity that, as I say, billions of Americans around the world would love to be able to vote in our elections. And for Americans who have that opportunity but don't use it, it's a real tragedy. So we really need to get out there and get those people to vote, and that will make the difference in these upcoming 2022 elections. The other thing I say, if you look at all the issues, women's right to choose, dealing with the environmental crisis, voting rights for all Americans, making sure that people have a fair wage and all that, the majority, we are the majority. That's what we have to keep remembering, is that we are the majority. We just need to get those people out to vote because they're on our side and we're on their side. And if we can just get them out to vote, I know we're going to be victorious. I think Ohio, when I was growing up, as Ohio goes, so goes the nation. So it's really critical that we turn out the vote in Ohio and get these wonderful candidates at the state level, at the congressional level, and a new United States Senator, Tim Ryan, and a governor, Nan Whaley. We get them all elected this year. And the way we're going to do that is by reaching out to people. Again, I've been pressing the flesh around Canada for the last week or few days, getting people to vote, and the response has been enthusiastic. And I know if we can carry that around the world, as we're doing on this weekend of Registered Together, we will be victorious. So I hope this is a great set. I know this is going to be a great session with some wonderful congressional candidates. So with that, am I turning it back to you, Angela? And thank you again. Thanks all
Well,
of you.
yeah, thanks so much,
Okay.
Art. Now, Karen, can you please take the floor?
I can speak, but I think first maybe we ought to have a word from Nikki, who's going to be the timekeeper on this, and let her set the rules up for time. Am I good?
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome to all of the candidates. We're super excited to have you here. We want to make sure everyone gets an equal opportunity to speak and introduce themselves and tell us why it's so awesome that you're going to do so much for Ohio when elected. Knock on wood, cross the fingers, dripping the damen. And I'm going to be helping you along. When you have about a minute left, I will gently cough and interrupt you with this one beautiful 1 minute sign. And then when your time is up, a stop, please, and thank you. So please just respect the time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikki. You're on mute, Karen.
There we go. Okay. As Adam Schiff pointed out in a recent fundraiser email, if Republicans can flip just a few House seats in November, the election denier Kevin McCarthy will be the next Speaker of the House, blocking the rest of the Biden agenda. Today, we have the front line of defense, our House candidates. So packing even 13 of the 15 districts into a really short web event was pretty dicey. What we've done is to organize them into panels by region of the state, starting and ending with our two longest serving incumbents, Congresswoman Capter from the 9th and Beatty from the 3rd, both of whom had scheduled conflicts today, but they sent their greetings and thoughts. As does our third incumbent, Chantelle Brown in the Cuyahoga County 11th District. Congress is back in session. Ohio has one more district, the 13th, considered safely Dem, or at least in Art's terms, recoverable Dem. And now there's the 01 in Cincinnati that the pundits are calling possible. But we think an extra push of volunteers and money might just bring some surprise wins. Here's our field. See what you think.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Kenton Barnes, and as Angela has said, I am the chair of Democrats Abroad Germany. I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio, which is Marcy Capter's district, Ohio 9. So that being said, I'd like to introduce our first panel from my home turf in Northwest Ohio. And since 1983, Congresswoman Marcy Capter has represented Ohio 9, which is made up of Toledo and other communities on the lake. Unfortunately, she's traveling today, but we are fortunate to have her campaign manager, Kyle Buda, standing in for her today. You can check Kyle's bio in the chat. Just to the south of the 9th is Craig Swartz's district, which is Ohio 5. And it has been historically red, but we're hoping to change that this year. It's a long shot, but we're hoping. Craig's giving it the good fight and has received lots of endorsements. To the south of the 5th is the Ohio 4, which is Tammy Wilson. And she's up against the ignominious Freedom Caucus fire breather, Jim Jordan. So a tough race, but we're hoping that she can do that as well. Then over to the east of the 3rd district, we have Matthew Diemer, who's running for the seat in Ohio 7. He has really good ideas for jobs in the economy. And an interesting fact about Matthew is that he also speaks Chinese. So maybe that could be a very important asset when sorting out our trade issues with China. Now, circling back to the Northwest, Kyle started us off with what's happened to the 9th in the last GOP gerrymander.
Awesome. Thank you so much for allowing me to fill in for Marcy. The Congresswoman is actually abroad today. She is traveling to Poland right now with a couple of constituents and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs to archive some World War II history from the 9th District in Poland. So she would have loved to be here, but you know, pressing matters of her day job as a member of Congress got in the way. So a little bit about what's going on here in Ohio. I think everybody will talk about the effects of redistricting, but Congresswoman Capter's district formerly ran from Toledo all the way to Cleveland. It was referred to the Snake on the Lake, and it was a heavily Democratic district. that has changed. That has changed quite drastically. Her district now is centered around her hometown of Toledo, but includes 3 counties to the west that are very heavily Republican, and then another 3 counties to the east that are quite Republican as well. So all told, this is a district that voted for Donald Trump by about 3 points. But Congresswoman Capter is the perfect person to try and win one of these very tough districts. She has been placed on the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee's frontline districts, which means she is one of the top incumbent protect districts in the country, one of the probably 20 or 30 most important races in the country for incumbent Democrats. A little bit about the Congresswoman and why she's uniquely prepared to win this district. She is kind of focused on issues of economics, trade, and good paying jobs for folks in Northwest Ohio. Her whole career, even before she was running in a much more competitive district, and that gives her a leg up. I think folks across the political spectrum feel like she has the right priorities for Northern Ohio, and she hasn't been afraid to kind of buck presidents of her own party when they're out of line with her constituents. Recently, we made a little bit of waves because we pushed back on the Biden administration a little bit when they had a trade and tariff issue that would have adversely affected solar manufacturers in Toledo. Kind of similarly, she pushed back quite vigorously on President Clinton during the fight on NAFTA. And I'm sure pretty much everybody in this call understands that she was on the right side of that. And NAFTA has had quite a deleterious effect on Ohio and much of the industrial parts of this country. So Marcy Capter has a long history of fighting for working people, and she is running against a candidate in J.R. Majewski who is just truly extreme. This is somebody who was at the Capitol on January 6th, who said he didn't go in the building, but wishes he would have, and said he'd go again. This is somebody who's spoken out in favor of bullying, somebody who says Ohio and states that voted for Republicans in 2020 should secede from the country, and somebody who's all in with the QAnon conspiracy theory. So Congresswoman Capter is somebody with the right priorities for Northern Ohio, and she's running against somebody who is truly the extreme of the extreme. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm not sure what the format is, but happy to answer any questions. But suffice it to say, there's a lot on the line this year as in Ohio's 9th district.
Excuse me. Thank you, Kyle. We're going to move over to Craig. We'll have questions after everyone has spoken. So Craig, can you tell us a little bit about the 5th district and what you're doing there?
Sure. The 5th district, as Kyle has pointed out, has been radically changed from Marcy's past outlines. Can you hear me okay? Everything okay? All right. So I've inherited the Lorain County in its entirety. It is the furthest east in my district. It comprises 12 counties. So we go all the way from the Lorain in the east. It's shaped like a Boston whaler. And I go 12 counties all the way to the Indiana border. And what we're finding out in this race for the first time in a long time, I'm meeting independents and Republicans coming up to be men and women. I'm sure Kyle has seen this the same way in the campaign. They are coming up to us and saying the Dobbs decision was a bridge too far. We've got them coming over our side. We've got the wind at our backs for the first time in a long time. Now, as you correctly pointed out, this is a very red district. I knew exactly what I was getting into, eyes open. But I felt like, particularly this year, even before the Dobbs decision, this was the fight we had to be in. This is a referendum on the direction of our country. This is no normal midterm. We're either going to be taking the dark fascist road they wanted to force us on, or we're going to stick to our guns and stay on the high road. Now, I couldn't be prouder right now to be representing women at this moment in time and be fighting for restoring, protecting and restoring their rights. This is the number one issue. that I'm going to be I have been campaigning on, and we're winning people over. Now I'm getting a lot of endorsements. What I'm not getting is a lot of money, and that's been hard. It's been hard to come by. We need to raise. My campaign needs to raise at least $10,000 in the next several weeks to do a texting campaign that is going to be aimed at two things. One is going to be the Democrats to further fundraise, and the second one is going to go to independents and Republicans to get them to vote our way. Now, Lorraine comprises 40% of my population's district. I have a slim path to victory here if I can carry that state by a 20-point margin and then mitigate the margins in the western counties. That's our strategy. Sherrod Brown followed this strategy years ago when he first ran for U.S. Senator, and it still makes sense. We've got to get the 40-45 percentile in the western counties, in the rural counties, and we will get not only ourselves elected, Marcy, everybody, we're gonna get the whole state. We're gonna get the women on the Supreme Court. So this is it. This is what we're doing. And I just appreciate all your support and spread the word abroad. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. We're hoping that you can defeat Bob Latta. I know I used to be in this district before it was redistricted to the 9th. But I'm hoping that you can beat him because I do not like Bob Latta at all. But anyway, we're going to go over to Matthew Diemer, who is now in competition with Jim Jordan. That's a pretty bad situation in which to be because Jim Jordan.
No, Tammy's going against Jim Jordan.
Pardon me? Oh, Tammy is Jim Jordan. Okay, I'm in the wrong person. Okay. So Tammy is here, but Tammy, can you tell us about your campaign against Jim Jordan? What's happening in the 7th?
Yeah, I'm really excited about my campaign. You know, all the experts say that it's a lost cause, but I'm here to assure you it is not. Over 53% of the district is new to Jim Jordan, and people do not like him. 25% of that vote comes from Delaware County, where I live, where I grew up. So I am really hopeful that I can pull this over the finish line. But I will say, it would be helpful if people would have some faith that it is possible. It really hurts other candidates when you talk down on other races. I don't understand why people are doing that. I don't agree with that. If you want to support a certain candidate, then support that candidate, but don't talk down against the other people. Like Craig and other other representatives here, I'm working on my campaign like 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, you know, putting fear in the audience of voters, constituents is not in my favor. So if people could just get on board that it is possible, that change is possible, that people are very unhappy, they do not like him, they do not like how extreme he is, you know, choice is on the ballot. Women's freedom, women's rights are on the ballot. Women make over 50% of the population in our country. It makes over 50% of the population in Ohio, my district. And I really feel that, you know, with women getting out to vote, with minorities getting out to vote, with the LGBTQ community getting out to vote, disgruntled independents and Republicans getting out to vote, we can win this thing. I'm telling you, all of the candidates running can win. We are talking about issues that are troubling people. I speak with Sherrod Brown, and I'm also using his strategy of sticking with the kitchen table conversations. And Jim Jordan hasn't done anything for anyone in over 15 years. So it's really important that we rally behind each other, support each other. Amy and I will text each other. Craig and I have had conversations. And it is really about all of us working together to hold each other up and promoting each other and supporting each other. And I mean that as a party and then as Democrats as a whole. So that's all I really wanted to say. But thank you so much for having me on here. I actually have lived overseas, and so I know what it's like to be away from home and, you know, having that longing or, you know, that desire to help, and how frustrating it is that you can't actually have boots on the ground. So I get it. So one thing you can do to help my campaign as well as others is donate, of course, and promote our, encourage other people to donate, but also spread our message on social media. That can help out a lot. So if you guys could help with that, I'm also looking for volunteers. There's things that you can do to help my campaign remotely. So if you're interested in that, check me out at tammywilson.com. I will put it in the chat. And I look forward to answering any questions. Yes, Amy, he's an embarrassment to Ohio.
Tammy,
Thank
you
you a bunch,
are
Tammy.
totally wonderful. Thank you for continuing to run for Ohio.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Tammy. We're going to go over now to Matthew, who's our last panelist from Northwest Ohio, and then we'll entertain any questions that they might have of the panelists. So Matthew, tell us what's going on in the 4th.
How's it going? So we're in the 7th. So Tammy's in the 4th. Tammy's in the 4th. Craig's
Okay,
in the 5th.
I'm all
in the
messed
7th.
up.
So we
Tammy's
really
in
have
the
to get
7th,
those right,
Matthew's
because
in
that's
the
important. We
4th.
gotta know who we're voting for. We have to know who we're voting for. And I'm running against a guy named Max Miller. And he was just in the Trump rally that was in Youngstown the other day with Jim Jordan, with people that are running against us, with J.R. Majewski, and all of these people, J.D. Vance, and so on and so forth. So we are in a fight over here. And that's what we're doing. And I'm calling you from the field. I'm over here knocking doors with my team, with volunteers. We're doing joint canvassing with state reps from all over this district to make sure that we are getting the message out. And that's why we're talking to you today, is to tell you to get the message out. Again, I'm running the 7th district against a guy named Max Miller. And one thing that we did not mention at the beginning of this call is that this is one of the competitive races. Spectrum News and other news agencies were just out the other day to interview this campaign, because this is only an R+7 district. And there's a lot of trend that is making sure that this is going to be winnable. If this district was ran by Sherrod Brown would have won this district. If this district was run by Tim Ryan, he would have also won this district. This is a winnable district. I lived abroad for 13 years in China. I did my master's degree in Taiwan. And so from coming from a point of view from abroad, focused ideas and legislation and things that we have to work on, I've lived it. I've been there. I've been in the trenches, and I understand what the complications are. So just to summarize really quick, this is a winnable district. I'm running Ohio's 7th district. Tammy's in the 4th. Craig is in the 5th. I'm running against Max Miller. Tammy's against Jim Jordan. Craig's against Bob Latta. And there's a lot of good things that are happening over here in Northern Ohio. So thank you very much for having me. I gotta go knock some doors.
Thank you very much, Matthew. We're going to open up the floor for questions. So if anyone has a question of either of the candidates, please go ahead and state that now. I think there is a comment or a question from Linus, is that his name?
Lyris, and he's another
Lewis,
candidate.
Lyris.
Yeah, he's another candidate. Well, guess your guys are also perfect. Nobody has any questions. It's really great to have you. Thank you so much for coming. And if anybody has a question, this is the time.
Angela, I just unmuted Karen over here. I couldn't type it in the chat fast enough.
Okay.
I sort of like to hear a little bit about the jobs and industrial situation. I recently, while actually researching for this meeting, ran up on First Solar out of Toledo. I know that the northwest corner of the state is heavily invested in wind production because you have a lot of wind up there, but that there's also some pushback on that from some of the locals. What do you see about happening? You know, Craig's looking, what? I'm in my hometown, Gallion, one of the groups from there, Crawford County. So you're aware that there may be some issues about wind in that area, although it's been big. So if you guys could talk about that, I'd be interested from your perspective.
Sure, I can talk about that. What you're getting is my opponent 2 years ago in the state Senate was Bill Reinecke out of Tiffin, Ohio, and he pushed through a bill in the State House a year ago that allowed county commissioners to arbitrarily nix solar and wind projects and putting an extra step in the process. So their township voters would have to go in, you do a referendum and vote on whether or not you could proceed with a wind or solar project in that county. So it is putting the kibosh on a number of projects. However, there are a number of independent farmers that were very upset about that. I've spoken to a couple of them who were going to benefit greatly. And this is a way for farmers across Ohio to preserve their land, pass on future savings, to their descendants and everything else, and keep the farm viable. And it's no different from when the oil and gas companies were going and scouring the countryside in southeastern Ohio and scooping up properties left and right from all too willing farmers, giving up those mineral rights. So Reineke and Babalata and all the rest of them have been financed by the oil and gas industry for far too long. They're putting the kibosh on future development. Ohio, ironically enough, has more renewable energy jobs in just a number of fields than any other state. So you're killing an industry when we could be really expanding this. First Solar is going to be a fantastic development for Northwest Ohio. And it's going to produce hundreds of jobs, if not thousands, over a period of time. But Ohio's also getting this mixed, push by the other side to stop this, to nullify this growth. And it's just absurd because you're going up against, again, this is the irony. You're telling me you're conservative and you want to preserve individual rights, and yet you're going to tell that person you can't do that. And the Ohio Siting Board already had in place a process by which the public could put their input. So this was simply something coming from the fossil fuel companies a while back, pushed it through, and unfortunately, it's going to slow the growth a little bit.
Thank you for that. This could be a whole side webinar for another hour in a discussion. Is there anything from the federal level, if you guys get to Congress, that you can do from there, or is it something that really we're going to have to work with our state people on that particular law? Because I do recognize that as a fossil fuel law, although there are some issues, with people not knowing about it, somehow not feeling that they were pre-informed, although the farmers who got the leases were, because they visited I'm in contact or in conversation with one, and that's why I'm asking that.
Karen,
Bad question, and we're out of time.
I actually have plans for that. So when it comes to me, I will address that question.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Kyle, for coming for Marcy Captor. And we know she's busy. Thank you, Craig. As always, good luck. Thank you, Tammy, so much. Good luck, everybody. The links for all their stuff is in the chat. Please go up there, take a look, tell your friends, donate if you can, and good luck. Best of luck on the 8th. We're doing the best that we can to get everybody out over here.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we're just going to deviate from our schedule a little bit because Louis Liris, who is in the 6th district, has to go. So we're just going to put him up here real quick. And before we start the next segment, Louis, are you there? Louis?
He needs to unmute.
Unmute. Okay.
Unmute. And can you turn your video on?
I tried a number of times. Every time you asked me, I couldn't get it on. It just seems it's a glitch. I cannot get it on. But I do want to mention, first I want to welcome the people in Greece. I wish I was there. My wife is there, and I'm stuck here campaigning. But this is what I have to do. Our campaign has to be grassroots. I'm in a very heavily gerrymandered district. Everybody in Ohio right now the way they've rigged these elections, the Republicans definitely have an edge on us by far. So it's very difficult for us to run. And it's almost like today I have 2 meetings, face-to-face, grassroots, getting out there and meeting people. That's what we have to do because we don't have the ability to fight them financially, the GOP is really putting a lot of money in these races to keep the Democrats out. I am hopeful, however, and I think many of us are, because even in my district, District 6, the road issue galvanized a lot of people. My opponent has never come up against a union leader. I've been in the union and negotiated. I worked in New York City with the trades. I'm a contractor. So he's never had to deal with anybody like that. And up and down the valley from Mahoning, Youngstown, all the way down to Marietta, where my district is, it was all union towns, steel mills, power plants, factories that have since closed, many of them closed. And now with what the Democrats have done in the legislation now, in the government, we're now getting these jobs open, and I'm fighting to make sure that they're all union jobs, good paying, well-paying jobs, and so forth. I don't have enough time for questions because I do have to get running, maybe one or two, but I'll let it go at that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Louis. Everybody, if you're in his district, please vote. Please tell your friends, please tell your family. His links are in the chat. And we hope you win. We wish you the best, and we'll do everything we can on our side to get out the vote for you.
And the next time you come to Greece with your wife, hopefully I'll be able to dance again, holding hands, not socially distanced. Greek dancing is hard from there. I went to my first Greek dance at Agios Charalampos in Canton, Ohio. So you can, Lou, you're close to my heart. Come to Greece.
I wish I could. I wish I could, but I can't do it now. She's there now. She is
win
there.
Win the sixth first, and then come to Greece.
Yeah,
Okay?
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. It is important to get online, read up on the candidates. All of them are good. And I can't emphasize enough, and I say this over and over, I've never asked anybody to vote one party. I always said vote for the person. And now I tell everybody, everywhere I go, vote the ticket, vote Republican, Democrat, all the way down.
Yes,
Thank
please
you.
vote for Democrats, no Republicans.
No,
Thanks.
no. Trump was here in Youngstown yesterday, and it wasn't very good.
Gross.
A Republican vote is a vote against your best interests.
All right, thank you, people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Louise, this is Ripple Elton. My number is up in the chat. Please write it down. That is available to everyone that's here as well. Louise, please get a hold of me. I'm the district where Intel is coming in, and maybe we can do something together to push some of the suppliers up your direction.
Okay, I think he might have left.
Darn.
All right, so next we have our two candidates from the Cuyahoga Summit County area, and they both have conflicts today, so they sent video greetings. Chantelle Brown is filling an unexpired term in the Ohio 11 district, and she's back in Congress after the August break, but she sends her message. So let us enjoy her message.
Greetings, I am Chantelle Brown, and I am running for Congress in Ohio's 11th Congressional District to build upon the historic work I have accomplished in my first term, and I'd really appreciate your vote. If you live abroad, go to votefromabroad.org and request your ballot today. I proudly serve the people of Northeast Ohio and put people before politics since 2012 and built a reputation as a collaborative leader, partner, and advocate for all. When I was elected to Congress last November, I promised voters that I would work with the Biden-Harris administration to bring a bold recovery from the pandemic to Ohio's 11th Congressional District while lowering costs for healthcare, expanding opportunities to end poverty, and creating safer communities. And I've done just that. In my first 9 months in Congress, I proudly supported the passage of the Bipartisan Infrastructure infrastructure law, which brought good paying union jobs to Northeast Ohio, many that do not require a college education, and provided the Buckeye State with billions of dollars to repair roads and bridges, modernize public transit, deliver clean water to families, and expand access to high-speed internet. And this summer, I stood with President Biden and the House Democrats to pass the CHIPS and Science Act and the Inflation Reduction Act to lower kitchen table costs for families, reduce the cost of prescription drugs for seniors, and make the largest investment to fight the climate crisis in history. And I'm just getting started. With your support, I plan to return to Washington to continue the fight for women's reproductive health rights, marriage equality, voting rights, and criminal justice reform. Now, we have less than 2 months until Election Day, and your vote is important. So this November, please vote for me, Chantelle Brown, for Congress, so we can continue to build together. Thank you.
Okay, that was awesome. I'm putting Chantelle's link in the chat. Please go up there, take a look at her, donate, do whatever you can. Tell your friends and family if you're in Ohio 11 to vote Democrat straight down the ticket. So our next video is from Amelia Sykes, a leader in the Ohio House Democratic Caucus. She is running to represent Ohio 13, a significantly redrawn version of Tim Ryan's district. Ms. Sykes is out canvassing today, and we have a message from her. 1 second, please. Okay, that was more than 1 second, so you'll just have to forgive me.
Hi, my name is Amelia Sykes, and I'm the Democratic nominee for Congress in Ohio's 13th Congressional District. I want to say thank you to the Democrats abroad for having me this evening. This is my second time addressing you, and this time is just as enjoyable as the first. I'm running for Congress because our democracy is on the ballot, and Northeast Ohio needs a fighter who's going to stand up and push back against the status quo to ensure affordable living, adequate health care and accessible health care, and safe communities for everyone. So please visit votefromabroad.org and request your ballot so you can make sure your voice is heard, even though you are overseas. I'm running for Congress to make sure that the community that raised me has representation that truly cares about our future. Our communities are struggling with high costs, challenges with crime and violence, as well as wanting to make sure accessible and affordable health care is available to everyone. It's important to me to make sure that I'm connected to my community, the place where I worship, recreate, and have lived for almost my entire life has representation that's truly, truly connected to and cares about this community. And what you will see from this campaign and from my potential and sure hopeful presence in Congress is a fighter for the people who are here in Northeast Ohio, in Akron, and Canton, and Stark and Summit counties, as well as the 4 precincts in Portage County. This election is incredibly important. It'll be one of the most important and most challenging and competitive throughout the country. And the road to the Democratic majority in Congress runs through Ohio 13. And it's why we are making sure that despite Republican spending in the millions of dollars, we are fighting every single day, but we can't get there without your help. So I do encourage all of you to make sure you request your ballots to make sure that we have fighters in Congress who are protecting democracy, who are protecting abortion rights, who are supporting our communities, safer communities, and access are elected to Congress next year. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention, but most importantly, thank you for your service and for your votes. Have a great evening.
Okay. I will put her information in the chat in just a few seconds. Karen, do you want to move to our next block?
And I'm unmuted.
Thank you.
Okay, for a change. Since Lou had to leave, let's see if we could stitch it back together. First of all, are you aware, is Samantha Meadows on with us? I did not see her yet.
I don't think she's here.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to sort of introduce the district and talk about it. And we can have a chat with Matt Kilboy, and he'll have the entire floor all to himself. You may wonder what the 2nd, 6th, and 14th districts have in common. Let's say reclamation and recovery. Matt Kilboy's OH 14 is more compact, 4 counties up in the lakefront ports and Rust Belt, then to the south part of that district, just above the Youngstown area though. Matt's up against a 10-year incumbent who voted against every economic revival bill in the Biden agenda. I'm sure he is taking credit for it, but he voted against them. Now, right below that, you go down the east border of Ohio, Lou Leris's 06 catches the rest of the old Rust Belt, a significant part of it in the northern part of his district. And in the nearly 3-hour drive, it goes all the way through the fracked eastern counties and the closed mines and mills that he mentioned, all the way down to Marietta on the river. It's a long drive to campaign. Hop over the bottom part of the 12th and you get to the OH02. That's another spread out district. It encompasses most of, or the rest of, Ohio's Appalachian counties. There are only maybe the 88 county types who actually pay much attention to it. And that's an issue down there. So I'm delighted that Samantha Meadows is running for it. And I do hope she can get on this call yet, because I thought she was going to. But the issues down there are that they're a forgotten district. It's largely rural. Their industrial strength was closed. Not much is being done, and it's sort of given over to, well, it's going to go Republican, so why bother? Samantha told me, though, that on the other hand, getting out amongst the people, they're sort of like, where have you been? We didn't know you. We haven't heard of you. And you're one of us, and you care about us. You started out as a paramedic or a med tech and dealing with the opioid crisis, which has hit that area particularly hard. So having said that, that's kind of how they all go together. These are all areas of the state that have been hit hard economically and which are struggling to come back. In some cases, they have a little bit more juice to use than other areas do. I want to come back to Matt Kilboy then and let Matt tell you a little bit about himself, about his part of the county, which includes Ashtabula, I think is a legacy city amongst others. And he can talk more about his views and what's going on in the district. Matt?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for inviting us to come and chat with you all. It's greatly appreciated. So my name is Matt Kilboy. I'm running for the 14th Congressional District, which includes five poll counties, basically. So it's Ashtabula, Trumbull, Lake Geauga, and Portage County, with the exception of the 4 precincts that Amelia has picked up in her district. So what's interesting about my district is it is actually probably the most favorably drawn or the most accurately drawn. So it favors Republicans by 4 points, as does the state generally. If there was a top 4, which the DCCC and the DNC were focused on, the Ohio 14th would be number 4. And that's on paper. I argue that if you look at reality, the district is more as a toss-up, because I have this little institution in my backyard in Portage County where I grew up, Kent State University, which has about 30-some thousand students, which we've been aggressively getting registered to vote. In fact, not only does Kent State lead the state for student voter registration, we lead the country. So we are very excited about that, and we are pressing. I spend at least 1 day a week each there registering people to vote. So just a little bit about me. So I was born and raised in the district. Grew up in Portage County in the smallest township within Portage County. It's also the most red. Born and raised into a blue collar family, the first in my family to go to school. Commissioned into the Navy. Served as a Nurse Corps officer for the United States Navy for a decade. Also worked in the federal government, including the kind of liaison between the Department of Defense and Congress. So my opponent has been in the office for 10 years. You drive around the district and you just see that nothing that he has done. He constantly votes in favor of corporations. As pointed out, he's voted against every every bill this year and over the past several years that truly benefits Ohioans. You know, he voted down Inflation Reduction Act. He's voted down, you know, the cost of insulin. Just everything that's in the best interest of Ohioans, he's voted against. So it's kind of sickening and disheartening. I will say it's been very exciting getting out in the campaign trail. I'm in no less than 2 or 3 counties a day, every day. Have been since January. This is my full-time job, so I've been campaigning since January. I've given up my career so that I can so that I could win this district for us. So I see kind of 2 opportunities in Northeast Ohio. So one of them is that we have Lordstown in the district in Trumbull County, which is where the old General Motors factory is. That's where Foxconn is and Altium Battery. So we have industry, and we think we could grow more industry, particularly with green energy technologies. So building wind turbines and building solar panels and whatever the next generation of that type of technology is. And Northeast Ohio is a huge agritourism business or industry of which I think we can continue to grow. So everywhere I drive in Northeast Ohio, you know, day in and day out, I look around, I just see so much potential that just has been kind of capped at the knees because my opponent just doesn't do the right thing for Northeast Ohio. And so, you know, that's all I got. I you know, just echo everybody else. Obviously, we could always use some more money. The other party consistently outraises us because they have no morals in who they take money from. And, you know, a lot of us is just grassroots efforts. And the second piece is just, you know, messaging is critical, helping us get our message out there. So again, thank you for inviting us to come speak with you all today.
Yeah, it's another candidate. Thank you, Matt. Everyone else has seemed to have disappeared. Let me add your other candidate, Samantha Meadows, onto the screen if she will start her video so I can add you to the screen. There you go. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm actually lined up for a parade here in Peebles in Adams County, one of our 15 counties.
Awesome. Well, it's your time. Go ahead and make your pitch.
All right.
Tell us about yourself.
Well, I am a progressive candidate. I am from Southern Ohio. I was born and raised down here. We like to call it homegrown. And when I was a young woman, I was an advanced EMT in the state of Ohio. And where I lived was hit hard by the opioid epidemic. And that is mainly because of the New Boston Coke plant was shut down. We had Mitchell Lace factory shut down. And we had people that bodies were put through the ringer, and these peel mills popped in and started handing out a drug called OxyContin. And those drugs ran rampant through our communities, and not only ours, but also now we have 15 counties, not 8, and we've picked up some mining communities. And as you know, those are some of the hardest working Americans out there, and they also popped into their small towns too. So we have a rampant opioid epidemic that's in its 3rd generation. My opponent, Brad Winstrup, says that he worked tirelessly to address the opioid problem. Well, he didn't. Those people that work tirelessly are the firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, and police officers. So my goal is to get in there and to completely overhaul the model that we have for recovery. And I think that we have solutions that are out there, but Big Pharma is still involved with the treatment plan. And I would also like to say that we have some wonderful things popping up in Southern Ohio. We have a proposed hydro plant at our former atomic energy plant, uranium production plant. And that's going to create a couple thousand jobs. And I am big on unionization. I am endorsed by the United Mine Workers of America and IBEW 575, which is the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. So I'm going to sum up here because I know you guys are short on time. Here's the thing. You all know that democracy is in peril right now. And my goal in getting into office is simply to prevent us from having an autocracy. You know, I believe that every person in the United States of America should have a chance to achieve the American dream. And as you know, that has not happened. We have not lived up to our promises in the United States, but we can. That's what's important. Given the trajectory we're on now, if we maintain the House and the Senate and we expand our majority, we can get more things pushed through to help every single American out there. And there's nothing more democratic than that. And so that is my goal for running for office. I care about people. I have compassion for people. And I want to make sure that every American is taken care of and that we can get big pharma, big corporations out of controlling the United States of America and our government. And I want to thank you for having me. And I also want to mention this is something that's new to me, and I will be frank with you. I didn't realize there was a taxation problem for those of you who are abroad. And let me tell you, I know as well as you do that you guys are not trying to evade taxes. You're not living off millions, you know, harbing away in foreign banks. So I am 100% for helping you guys out with that, passing legislation that helps you with taxes from abroad.
Thank you so much. Samantha Meadows, Matt Kilboy. Yeah, we do have tax issues because we're double taxed and we're not permitted to do a lot of things because of this situation with all the paperwork from the United States. So we will do everything we can to get people from abroad in your district to vote. And we wish you both the best of luck on your campaigns.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so
Angela,
much.
Karen here, and I've got a question because
Sure.
I know that Matt has a lot of background. He's a health, consultant, or was before he started campaigning. And Samantha has on the ground experience with health delivery in the O2 area in her hometown. There's also the care plan and the stuff they're working on up in Columbus, where they've got all the hospitals and services and NGOs working together. I hope I don't throw you a loop, but could the two of you maybe talk a little bit about what some of the options might be in getting delivery into these outlying areas of your districts that are perhaps underserved, probably more so in the O2 than in the 14th, but you go for it.
Can I hop in there real quick?
Sure.
As a federal candidate, you know that as far as what happens in the States, I'm limited. You know, I can approve the money for certain programs, but it's people like Matt that when it gets kicked over, directing those funds to the places in my community that they need to be. So, again, I'm going to vote. I am for Medicare for all. I always will be. I want every American to be taken care of, health insurance wise. But yes, I will vote down those lines over and over. And once they get to Matt, we'll see what his plan is from there on.
So I'm also a federal candidate. So
I'm sorry.
I'm a registered nurse. So the number one thing I talk about every day, day in and day out, is healthcare. I have a kind of a thumbnail sketch of a healthcare plan. It's like Medicare for all, but it's not called that because it has such a negative connotation. The short story is it's a basic healthcare plan available to every single American for all preventive healthcare services, from visits to your primary care provider for regular routine checkups such as mammograms or whatever you need there. Includes access to vision, dental, whatever you need, whatever we can do to prevent people from getting sick. Because if we prevent people from getting sick, people will live happier, healthier lives, and we'll also spend less money on healthcare in this country. And then part of that is also mental health and addiction treatment is also included in that. And these are all things that, zero copay for the preventive care and zero copay for generic medications is kind of what I'm pushing. That's what I'm envisioning. So that's a very, very large part of my platform. And in terms, so there's a broader, I'll add just a little bit more. So besides the healthcare piece, there's also, our shrinking health profession population. So as a nurse, we've been understaffed for decades, and the pandemic has only made it worse. And now we're seeing every other healthcare profession, also leaving the field. So in terms of And the first to go are folks who live in rural areas. So, or the folks, I guess you'd say, that suffer the most are those in rural areas, because there's already a like healthcare desert. So I think we could do a lot of federal programs to entice professionals, whether it's nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners, whoever, to go work in those areas. And then, we could do stipends, we could do grants, we could do loan forgiveness. There's a whole slew of programs that we could do at the federal level to entice people to set up shop in those rural communities, like where I live. I have to drive 30, 40 minutes to get to the closest hospital or primary care provider. So it's very much a problem in Northeast Ohio as well.
Great, I love it. Both answers. Yes. I hand it back to you, Angela.
Well, once again, thank you all both for being here. And we are going to do whatever we can to help you guys get elected. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
All right. So next, we have
Jeff.
Pardon? We have Jeff Simmons. Do you want to come forward, Jeff, and introduce our next segment, please?
And I was listening to the Democrats abroad. Boy, I put in my.
Francis, I think we can hear your conversation if you want to go on mute. But all right, thank you, Angela. For our last panel today, we will have candidates from districts around southwestern Ohio and central Ohio. And just going in numeric order with the first district, it's also the southernmost district. Our candidate is Greg Landsman. And we're excited about this race. It's currently rated as a toss-up, and we think that there's a good chance for a Democratic pickup in District 1. The third district, which covers much of Columbus, is represented by Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. After redistricting, I'll have the honor of voting for her in November. Congresswoman Beatty is now head of the House Financial Services Committee, which has oversight on the taxation issues that we were just talking about that's important for American citizens abroad. And she's also chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Since Congress is in session again, she's back in DC and wasn't able to join us today. So we've collected some links that you might be interested in that we'll be putting up in the chat. The Democrats Abroad Taxation Task Force has a questionnaire that she put up some answers to, and we have links to her campaign website and to her page at the house.gov site, the House of Representatives website. So we invite you to have a look because she's a very important member of the Ohio delegation. In the 8th district, we have Dr. Vanessa Enoch. Dr. Enoch has close contact with the strongly African-American part of Cincinnati that was moved out of District 1 as a result of the redistricting and gerrymandering that's been going on in Ohio, combined with some rural counties in hopes of diluting that vote. And we will see what Dr. Enoch can do about that. And we also have Amy Ripple Elton from the 12th district. And I noticed in the chat that she already put up her telephone number, encouraging you to call at any time now or after the election. She's up against a well-funded incumbent in the 12th district. And we want to include in the chats her responses to the Ballotpedia questionnaire because we saw that and we were very impressed. So going back to numerical order, starting in District 1, Greg Landsman, would you like to start us off and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hold on one second. I just finished church, which ran late today. So I'm trying to get to a place where I can chat without endangering myself or anyone else. So give me 1 minute and then I will do just that. I really do appreciate you all doing all of this incredible work. It's really wonderful. All right, hold on 1 minute. All right, I'm in the car.
Well, if you like, can we come back to you? Because
No, he's here. He's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
All right. Thank you so much. I was in church this morning and it was a long service. So I'm just, I was hoping to be back in the office, but I didn't make it. Thank you all for doing this. My name is Greg Landsman. I'm a candidate for Congress in the 1st Congressional District. That's Southwest Ohio, the city of Cincinnati, and then the eastern suburbs of our county. All the way up to a separate county, Warren County, and it's a great place, wonderful place. I live here with my wife and 2 children. We have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, so they're in school. That's a big part of our lives right now, is raising them and getting them to all these sports events and to school and all that kind of stuff. So I was a teacher. My parents were teachers. I've been doing child education advocacy work my entire life, helped pass a ballot measure called the Preschool Promise several years ago to make preschool affordable for thousands and thousands of families. Have been on city council for the last 5 years, focused on core services, police, fire, sanitation, but also those investments in children and families, efforts that are going to make things infinitely better for children and families, particularly those who are most marginalized, and then really focused on the culture at City Hall and cleaning things up so that people locally can believe in their local government and trust their elected officials, which I'm a big believer in terms of its importance. Ran for Congress for a couple of reasons. January 6th, as the person who would represent the entire city in this new district is an election denier, somebody who voted against certifying the election, tried to overturn the election. I want to go up there and vote to protect the election. He is an anti-choice extremist, somebody who has spent decades undermining this basic fundamental right that was taken away from us by the Supreme Court. So I will go up there and help to codify Roe and this important freedom, along with a whole host of other freedoms that may be stripped away from us. And then I really want to see and work on legislation that's going to get us an economy that works for everybody, gets wages up, costs down, from childcare to housing. So that's me and my opponent, and this race in a nutshell. It is a Biden district. The district now, Biden would have won by 9, and our polling's been great, our fundraising's been great, our organizing's been great, our messaging's been great. So we feel like we're going to win this thing and help flip this district and be part of keeping the House.
All right, thank you, Greg Landsman. We're pretty excited about this, like I said, and thank you for making it on to our meetup on time. Then we can go on to Dr. Vanessa Enoch of the 8th District. Dr. Enoch, would you like to tell us about yourself?
Absolutely, and thank you again for having me. Again, my name is Vanessa Enoch. I am a mom, a business owner, and a concerned Ohio citizen. And I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 8th Congressional District. I'm running against Warren Davidson, who is an election denier who voted to overturn the U.S. presidential election on January 6th. Davidson is also a QAnon conspiracy theorist who said that he would support a total ban on abortion. And he believes that when a young 10 to 12-year-old girl is raped, that he has a hard time believing that she doesn't know she is raped before 6 weeks. My campaign team is excited about the addition of Hamilton County as the 2nd largest county in our district. Hamilton County is 80% blue. And just to give you a little background on our district, I am a 3rd-time congressional candidate in this district, so my campaign team is experienced. I won nearly 40% of the vote in the largest county in 2020 when I ran, and there was no drop-off in my race, which means that Democrats voted for me just as the top of the ticket as a down ballot candidate. And we are running a different race this year. I live in the largest county in the district, and the second largest county is right across the street, as opposed to an hour and a half drive. And so my district has primarily been ignored, which makes it difficult to raise money, but we are firing up the base and we are working to get folks out to vote. We are doing lit drops across the district, and folks who don't know me will know me. And many people in the second largest county already know me because I've been working hard in the community for the past couple of decades. I'm running for Congress because we're facing an uncertain future, and we need representatives who will fight for the interests of the people and not big corporations, big banks, and special interest groups. So we can't keep asking the people in Washington, D.C. who created the problem to fix it. We need people who have actually faced adversity and who have navigated difficulties and come through them. Warren Davidson is an extremist, and he is among the most dangerous representatives in Congress, who votes against women's issues, against seniors and children and workers' rights. He doesn't understand the everyday challenges that most of us face. And personally, I come from humble beginnings. I've had to fight for and earn everything I've achieved, and I know what it takes to struggle, but I also know what it takes to win. And so this year, we are working hard. I have a background in business. I have a master's degree in business. I have a PhD in public policy. And so I understand policy as well. And as a single mom, after losing my husband, I raised my children, and I was the mom on the sidelines with my laptop computer working, and at times worked 5 jobs just to make ends meet. No American should ever have to work 5 jobs. And as a teacher, so I was teaching at several different colleges at once. So I know how to manage a budget and make a dollar stretch, and I am ready to go to Washington, D.C. to fight for all of you. I've lived abroad, so I understand what many of you have experienced and are experiencing currently. And so I'm looking forward to winning this race this year. And I hope that all of you will consider voting for me, as well as helping spread the word about my race. You can learn more about me at enochforcongress.com.
All right, Dr. Enoch, then we'll try to get Democrats to keep showing up for you. Good luck in November. And with that, we can move on to the 12th district, and the candidate for the Democratic Party is Amy Ripple Elton. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. I'm born in New York, raised in Columbus, and I absolutely love Ohio. I am so angry with what's going on here right now that rather than waiting till my youngest graduated high school and then running for office, I started 2 years early. I'm looking at Title IX specifically, and I sent some information over to your leadership about it. I would like for each of you to take a look at this and write in commentary today within the next 3 hours. We are down to 3 hours to the wire. You can go to my Facebook site, which is A Ripple, RIPPEL, Makes Change, over on Facebook, to see this if you haven't received it. They attempted at the State House and the Ohio Department of Education to make rules that the education people, whether it be the teacher, the principal, whomever, had to out students who were LGBTQ plus to their parents, and that they could make choices as to whether they wanted to include them in the free lunch program or not, which is completely illegal, completely immoral, and I'm livid. So back to who I am. I am someone who's been fighting for campaign finance reform for the last 8 years solid. I'm about as progressive as you can get. I am on disability. I have grown up as a child of a nurse. I have 2 children with disabilities. One's 18, one's 21. And I know what it takes to get there, to get the services they need, to bring them not ahead of others, but to give them an equal playing field. Because that's my goal. Give that equal playing field. I want to see jobs created. I'm in the district where Intel is coming in. It is important that we have a Democrat here more than anywhere else in the state, because I will push for what we need for the entire state in education, in career centers, in what had not, so that people can graduate high school and then move straight into a job there. That's what I want to see, whether they're in the building trades, whether they're working the factory floor, whether they go to college and get engineering degrees to work on these supercomputer microprocessor chips. Sorry, I know I'm not saying it right. I care. I absolutely care about what happens here. I care about what happens abroad. I've been looking at the taxation issue, and I'll tell you what, there's got to be something that can be done, at least in simplifying the code. So I'm ready to go to work for you. My phone number is up so that you have it. Please don't hesitate to use it. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you, or I should say working for you. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you, and have a wonderful day as well, and good luck in November. I believe we have on our schedule about 5 minutes for just general questions and answers. The way that we usually do that is you can use the chat. You can type in ** hand up. * makes it easy to see. If you have any questions for any of our candidates that have appeared today, just let us know. Okay, and we have a hand up from someone. I only see the name iPhone. So whoever you are on your iPhone, go ahead and.
Hi, Jeff. Hello. Sorry, I couldn't change my name. So, first of all, I want to thank all these brave candidates running for office. My name is Jose Miguel from Costa Rica. I'm also the chair of the Democrats Abroad Youth Caucus. So thank you for your service. My question is directly for Amy. Amy, you are running in Ohio 12. That used to be my district before redistricting. You are running against one of the worst people in Washington, Troy Balderson. Can you tell us what you plan to do if you defeat him? And number one. Number two, what's the worst thing about your opponent? So thank you.
My opponent is absolutely clueless. I was contacted by Ken Mallett, who is the political writer for The Advocate, which is the New York newspaper, and asked if I wanted to comment because he actually said getting these kids to grow up and work in this factory, you have to get the moms on board. Like, moms don't have a clue what goes on in factories because they think factories are dirty and dangerous. And he specifically stated that getting the moms on board is like the working football coach of a college getting the mom on board, and then the son will sign up. And I'm going, how freaking clueless can you get? There are so many mothers and women in factories in this state. It's ridiculous. Number one. Number two, I absolutely feel that women's autonomy needs to be addressed. That no old white man should be sitting there telling a woman what they need to do with their body. Sorry, I get mad about that. Number three, the environment. He's in here tearing it up. He does not care if we keep this place good and pristine and clean. Our farmlands are getting messed up by corporations. It's got to stop. And number 4, the jobs that he's bringing in are going into areas that already have good jobs. They need to go into areas that are oppressed. I'm looking straight east of here, Coshocton up to Newcomers Town, for brownfield sites, for the factories that are going to be supplying intel, finding sites that they won't be tearing up our land to hand over to Biden's team that works with them to say, hey, go look at this place. Hey, go. He's not doing any of that. It's not that hard to do. It really isn't. Give me a freaking break, Troy. The only reason he voted for the CHIPS Act is because he would have definitely been kicked out if he didn't. Everything else has been right in line with Jim Jordan and the Trumpers. It's time for him to go. Period. Just like what Miss Vanessa was talking about. He follows in very similar, not quite as QAnon theory, but very similar. And the tribalism has to stop. If we're going to have a country that doesn't go into a civil war, we've got to get the tribalism to stop. And to do that, we need Democrats, because Democrats accept everyone. We love everyone for who they are. You got me up on my soapbox. I apologize.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Amy. We have another question from Nikki. Go ahead. And
Hi, I have a question for Dr. Enoch and Mr. Landsman. Can you talk a little bit, well, earlier we had Craig Schwartz on the call, and he was talking about how he's also trying to influence Republicans and independents, and that he's noticing a trend of more independents kind of coming to meetings or being interested in the literature and asking more questions about what he might do as an elected official for them. Are you seeing the same trend in your districts as well?
100%. Yeah.
Definitely. One of the things that our campaign noted is that over the past few years, we've always focused on looking at persuadable Dems as the Democratic Party and not focusing enough on the independents. One of the things that we found when we started crunching numbers and looking at who those independents are is that in the high Democratic voting districts, many of those independents are African Americans who are not declaring a party. And when we this year, what we've done is we've implemented a strategy to hit all of those doors of folks who have not been asked to vote since Obama, since 2008 when Obama first ran. And I know because I worked the Obama campaign in those areas. And this year we are hitting those areas pretty hard. And we've crunched the numbers. We know that if we can get those folks out to vote who are really voting Democratic, that we can win this race. So yeah, we're working hard to talk to those independents.
Yeah, I should have said a little bit more, but Dr. Enoch is that we're having a similar experience, and she articulated it well. But I was in a parade last night, and I think I talked to more independent and Republicans who came out to me than Democrats. And that's not a unique experience.
And Ms. Ripple, are you noticing the same trend in your district as well?
Absolutely. When I go out in public and tell people who I am, the first thing that they say is, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't vote for you. And then I say, why? Oh, well, you're coming after my guns, or you're coming after this right or that right. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Absolutely not. We live in a primarily rural district. We need to have at least rifles to protect our land. I get that. I've been out hunting, I've been fishing, I've been, in these areas. My family I've got over 100 family members in district, and we're spread throughout. And I've spent my summers with my family members growing up. Being in a single parent household allowed for that. So I know the entire district backwards and forwards. So when I speak with them and I give them the straight up truth of who I am and the fact that I will use my head for more than a hat rack, they go, "Oh, wow, I really can vote for you."
That is amazing. I love that.
Yeah, your opinion really isn't that far off of mine. I'm like, yeah, and I'm local too. So you can come sit down with me if you have an issue, because I will have open days where I go out in the community and you can just come sit down, have coffee, and raise holy heck with me if you need to. You guys abroad can go onto my Facebook, send me a message, and we will link across Messenger and have a private message where we're talking live just like this, only it's just the two of us. I refuse to hide from my constituents.
That is amazing.
Just like I know the other two people in my area will not stay hidden from their constituents. And that's what I find with the Republicans. I called Troy Balderson's office to talk to him about something that the Sierra Club brought to my attention, the Mountain Valley pipeline. They heard who I was. They didn't even listen to why I called. They hung up on me. No, it should be treated that way.
No, they shouldn't. And thank you so much for your insight. And Dr. Enoch, Mr. Landsman, Ms. Ripple, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. We don't always get the chance living abroad to connect with our representatives back home. So it means a lot that we were able to spend some time with you today. Thank you so much. We want to also thank all the speakers that were able to come here today. We want to give a special shout out also to the Ohio Democratic Party that helped us reach out and organize with some of the candidates to be able to make sure that they could attend today. So thank you very, very much. As has been mentioned numerous times today, you still can request your ballot. You can still register to vote and request your ballot. We do highly recommend that you please your ballot be delivered to you via email. And by doing that, you can go to votefromabroad.org. Angela will be dropping the information into the chat, and you will be able to receive your ballot if you're a registered Ohio voter and have requested your ballot be delivered to you via email on September 23rd. So it's coming up. Please make sure you do that. And as Ohio voters, it is mandatory that we return our ballots via postal mail. So it's incredibly important to not only have your ballot delivered to you via email to make sure you get it quickly, but to vote it as soon as you receive it, and then to drop it back into the postal mail to make sure it gets back to your Board of Elections in time. Again, that link is votefromabroad.org. And what is also really cool is if you get your ballot on September 23rd, you can join us, Democrats Abroad, on September the 24th for our ballot rally. We're going to be featuring candidates from all across the US, as well as musicians. We have some cool guest speakers. Speaker Nancy Pelosi has also given some remarks on video, specifically for Democrats Abroad. And in addition, we have guest speakers Kevin Bacon and his wife, Kira Sedgwick, that will also be joining us. Angela will be dropping the link for more information so that you can RSVP for that event. And finally, everyone knows, the candidates that are on this call and many of you that are joining in from Democrats Abroad, that the best way to get a hold of our members to remind them to register to vote and to request their ballot is by giving them a call and having a conversation and helping to make sure that they have the means to be able to request their ballots, answer any questions that they might have about making sure that their ballots are returned securely and received on time. And in order to do that, that means we need to have more phone callers. We are calling tens of thousands of registered Democrats that are living abroad, and we want to make sure that they're reaching them in time so that everyone is able to request their ballots, have them delivered via email on time, and be able to drop them back in the mail. So if you are out there and have just a few minutes, it doesn't take a lot of time to be able to just help us make 5 or 10 phone calls to other Democrats living abroad to give them this information and to make sure that they have a chance to have their voices heard. That would be wonderful. And again, further details can be found in a link that Angela will be dropping in the chat. So thank you again to all the speakers, all of you out there who have joined us from around the world. We look forward to making a difference back in Ohio and also for the US by voting and making the margin of difference in a lot of these races. So thank you very much and take care.
Thanks, everybody. I'm going to turn off the live. And I'm going to stop the recording.